Is your voice hoarse? Maybe you sound hoarse after a long day of talking, and maybe you wake up with a hoarse voice every morning, or maybe you sound hoarse all the time.
Okay, so I am losing my voice. So I just won't talk right now so that I can save it for tonight. So I have the whole show mapped out, and I will show you the drills, and I will do a few other things. But I will not speak. So good luck with the show. I'll see you tonight, and keep working. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay, I'm done with this. Let's move on to the show. This is the quote of the day. Okay, I'm thinking of possibly showing you guys videos with these, and we'll see what the videos are like. I haven't really looked at them all, but again, I don't want to waste my voice, so let's see what happens.
All right, so let's be honest, most players don't know how to work out by themselves. I was one of those players myself. I spent so much time in the gym, but I did not spend that much time actually progressing and getting better, because a lot of the common mistakes that I see players make that I also made myself. So in today's video, I just want to talk about the ultimate kind of guide to working out by yourself, the main principles you guys need to keep in mind and follow, so that way you guys are actually getting better and using your time effectively. So the first extremely important one that I don't think enough players do is really dial into 1 to 2 things at most and do them consistently over time. Now I know that sounds kind of obvious. Okay, shooting, I'm gonna work on that every single day, or my finishing, I'm gonna work on that every single day, but we need to be more specific. And then oftentimes what players do is they'll do shooting one day, next day they want to come in and do ball handling, next day they want to come in and do floaters, right? So we're not progressively working on the same thing enough to really see that progress. One of the things that you guys need is to be self-aware. You need to know, where are my strengths, where are my weaknesses, and what is the number one, or what are the 2 things that if I really get better at, that I really improve, will take my game to another level. For some of you, that might be fixing your shot. For some of you, that might be developing an elite floater. For some of you, it may even be in the weight room or on defense. But know what it is that you guys really need to dial in on, and every single day, work on the same thing. It sounds kind of boring, but truly getting better, truly working on what we call deliberate practice isn't always fun. Getting better doesn't always need to be fun anyways. Sometimes it's a grind, yes. If you want to get better, that's part of the process. That's what you need to do. Kind of tying that back into myself, like I was saying, one of the things that I always did, I was always working on different stuff. I didn't really have a focus. I knew, okay, maybe I want to get better at my shooting, my ball handling, my finishing, my floaters. So I kind of work on all of it. So I kind of get a little bit better. But if you want to see drastic improvement and really get to the next level, you need to dial in and focus on, like I said, 1 to 2 things. Now the second thing,
I like it, I like it, I like it, I like it. Good job, guys. is to make 1 free throw in a row for the first level. Then start over and make 2 free throws in a row. Then 3 in a row, then 4 in a row, 5 in a row, all the way to 10. At each tier, you're allowed to miss the ball once. So you get 2 chances at each tier. If you're successful, you move up 1 tier. If you don't accomplish it, you move down 1 tier. So, one in a row, first chance. Over 1, second chance. One for 1, I've completed that tier. Now I'm on tier 2, over 2, first chance. Over 2, second chance. If I miss this one, I go back down a number. One for 2, second chance. Two for 2, I've completed that level. Now I'm back to level 3. Over 3, first chance. One for 3, first chance. Two for 3, first chance. 3 for 3, first chance. I'm done with that one. Now I move up to the 4th level. Over 4, first chance. 1 for 4, first chance. Over 4, second chance. If I miss this one, I'm down to the 3rd one. One for 4, second chance. Missed it. That was my second chance. Now I'm down to the 3rd level. Over 3, first chance. 1 for 3, first chance. And you keep playing this game until you make 10 in a row. playing against older players, against faster and stronger competition, and against those with more skill than you shouldn't disparage you in any way. For it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. Alright, here's a video about some shoes, but it's much more than that. Alright, watch the video.
Real Team USA Olympic uniforms with one of the world's fastest super shoes. And we're gonna cut it in half. Because what's inside this shoe is part of a huge debate happening in sports right now. The question is, when does sports gear get so good that it's actually cheating? There's a ton of cool gear that's banned from sports for making athletes too good. Like swimsuits that make a swimmer's body too streamlined, or gloves that make a receiver's hands too grippy, or bats that let a player hit the ball too hard, or shoes that make a runner too freaking fast. They call it tech doping, using physical gear to gain an unfair advantage. In this video, I'm gonna show you the banned technology that you won't see in the Olympics.
Oh, whoa, that's grippy.
And the cutting edge tech that you will see that's on the very end to show you some of the world's best and most or hurt people in the stands. So if gear greatly increases the risk of injury, most regulators ask, is it dangerous? To athletes or fans or both? This is the big reason they give for banning steroids, but it applies to hardware too. For example, in Major League Baseball, they're not allowed to use aluminum bats. They have to use wooden ones because aluminum would allow them to hit the ball so fast they might kill people on the field or hurt people in the stands. So if gear greatly increases the risk of injury, it might not be allowed. But most of the cool tech that we're talking about doesn't increase danger. It just makes athletes better. So the next question they ask is it against the spirit of the sport? But how do you define that exactly? Spirit of the sport, it's intentionally vague. So it gets broken up into smaller questions, like, can everyone use this tech? Is it fair to record holders? Does it artificially enhance a player's performance? Let me give you some examples. Try to decide what you think is right before I tell you what the rule makers chose. This is the Olympics in 1972. Do you notice anything missing? Nobody's wearing goggles. 4 years later, the Olympics allowed them. You see early adopters start to use them, and those athletes start winning. Here's a chart showing swimming records by year. That's when goggles were allowed. Most people today would say allowing goggles was a good idea. But then, something new caused another big spike. In 2008, Speedo collaborated with NASA to make this, the Laser Racer. This suit was so cool. The fabric mimicked shark skin with these little channels that let water flow more easily. It had these panels that sucked swimmers' bodies into a more streamlined position. And people speculated that the way it trapped air made swimmers float more easily, which Speedo denied. But it was clear this new tech was helping swimmers crush world records. Athletes were doing things nobody thought was possible. It was awesome. You remember that Olympics when Michael Phelps won more gold medals than any human had ever won in a single Olympics ever? He was wearing a laser racer. Is that fair? There's a line somewhere. It's just not always obvious. Like prescription lenses in Olympic shooting. Okay or not okay? If you said okay, the regulators agree with you. Olympic shooters are allowed to wear prescription lenses. They can correct their vision. They just can't enhance it. Or how about this? Sticky glue that makes it easier to catch a football. Okay? The NFL said not okay. But grippy gloves are fine.
How in the world? Oh my goodness.
I love these questions because they get at what we think the whole point is of both sports and technology. And of course, it's so messy. But the messiest of all is the debate about they've gotten a lot better than 2 to 3%. Early running prototype shoes, built to make him run faster. In fact, studies showed that this design helped runners at the time go 2 to 3% faster than the next fastest shoe. And regulators started saying that this shoe threatened the integrity of the sport. But why this shoe? If you look back at the history of running shoes, you'll see that over the last 100 years, they've gotten a lot better than 2 to 3%. Early running shoes looked like this. They're basically loafers with spikes. People can run a lot faster in basically any running shoe today. So why was this shoe all of a sudden so controversial? Let me show you the answer. This is the newest version of that same shoe design, and I'm about to cut it open.
So this is the successor of what Eliud Kipchoge beat the 2-hour marathon in.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a culmination of all kinds of technological development. It's a thing of beauty, and we're going to destroy it.
There's no chance I can put it through, is there? You could guide.
Lots of companies now make their own version of a super shoe. And people say they've changed running sports forever. But how exactly? At a high level, every super shoe today has 3 key sections. The upper, which holds your foot, the outsole, which hits the ground, and the midsole, which mostly determines how much of the energy that a runner exerts down into the ground is returned to boost them into their next stride. This is called energy return, and it's a huge deal in running. Nike's that you're debating is part of someone's body. You might remember this guy, Oscar Pistorius. He was the first person to qualify and compete in the Olympics with these running blades. This was a moment that got a lot of people talking about what's fair and what's not in sports. You might not know him yet, but that's Blake Leeper. He qualified for the Olympics 8 years after Pistorius, but he wasn't allowed to compete.
I had the 5th fastest time in the world against able-bodied athletes, which qualified me for the Olympic Games, and then I was abruptly stopped. I had to take my case to the Court of Arbitration of Sport.
The Olympics had allowed Pistorius, but they now wanted to revisit the rules. Should running blades be allowed? If you let people wear glasses for shooting, meaning they can correct a disability that they have, aren't prosthetics the same? And how do you decide what's a correction and what's an enhancement? Turns out, tests. A lot of tests.
Put dots on my blades to see the spring compression, to see like what type of energy return.
They calculated it using measurements from other parts of his body to tell him what his height would theoretically have been. And to make matters worse, those calculations were based on only small studies of white and Asian men. But the whole idea of using averages for athletes is tricky. Most people's wingspan is roughly their height, but Michael Phelps' wingspan is 3 whole inches taller than he is. That's part of what makes him so great. But in the end,
they said, this is the rules that said, we're sorry, Blake, but you have to drop your legs by 6 inches.
And changing your height is not the same as changing your swimsuit.
I trained at 6'2" my whole life. And now I'm 5'9", so I'll go reach or I'll go run or my back went out. And the question, the $1 million question is what's fair and what's not fair. If somebody was born with bad vision and they wear glasses, you wouldn't regulate that. Now I could try to wear glasses, but I don't need glasses.
Really, the conversation that we're talking about is a fear or a concern that technology will get so good, people on blades will actually outperform everybody. Is that what
Yes.
people are really talking?
I think, yeah. I mean, I think that's the conversation that is really at hand. It wasn't me trying to compete. It was the idea of the Pandora's box that it could potentially open up. I don't agree with it, but I understand.
We have come so far.
Was that interesting? I thought that it was. Anyways, let's check out something else. We have a reaction. Watch it.
Anthony Edwards just got some follow-through advice from his favorite player of all time, Kevin Durant, during Team USA practice.
Everybody looking for advice? Of course, KD. That's my favorite player of all time. Anything I want to ask, I go straight to him.
And moments later, Ant even dunked on his favorite player of all time, KD, which, unfortunately, there's no footage of.
So impressed with Ant. My favorite player to watch. Just grown so much since he came into the league at 22. Just his love for the game just shines bright. Loves basketball. Love everything about Ant. Everything. And be watching him going forward. And it's going to be somebody I'm following for the rest of his career.
And they asked KD what he thought about that, about getting dunked on. And he gave a great answer saying, "I tried, Jennifer," which is a C.J. McCollum quote when someone online said that his team sucked at making the playoffs. But yes, next thing is the Olympics and their beds.
For those wondering about the cardboard beds in the village, I'm going to show you what they look like. This is cardboard. As you can see, it's like a box. Then you've got the mattress, and then these cardboard boxes here, like so, with the mattress on top and a mattress topper. And then we get our own little Paris 24. And as you can see, they're pretty sturdy.
Let me show you more about the cardboard beds. So that's an extended bed. I obviously didn't get an extended bed because I'm short.
The cover changed.
Oh.
This is extra firm, and like this is moderate. So if you
Ah,
don't feel comfortable, you can flip it.
Well, we're here in Paris to test out the beds with various activities. Let's go.
I'm at the Paris Olympic Games and they once again have these cardboard anti-sex beds. When I tested them last time, they withstood my testing. Maybe I wasn't rigorous enough though. Nope, they passed the test.
Our trivia question today. Good luck with it, anybody who's out there. Last thing that we'll talk about is, once again, the quote of the day being constantly improve is the quote of the day. And right here.
If you're an athlete, coach, or even just a sports enthusiast, you need to watch this video. This is one of those eureka moments that I had recently that I wish someone had told me 20 years ago. I'm gonna explain how athletes think, how they approach training to learn faster, maximize their improvement, and consistently maintain a competitive advantage. Roll the intro, baby. Please consider subscribing. It would help set as fast as possible, or better yet, fight the thousands of reps and the fact that you could probably perfectly recite what the coach has told you. Why? Why does this happen? Why is that guy improving faster than I am and putting in less work? How can I improve and learn faster? Time for the goodies. First things first, the best athletes have all learned to love the process of self-discovery. Remember that. I've come to realize that the quickest way at getting better at your craft comes from these small eureka moments of self-discovery. Those small epiphanies that sometimes happen when you're trying out a new technique or a new mindset and everything just clicks. And you learn something brand new about how your body or your mind functions. Okay, great, Riley, but where do these eureka moments come from and how do I get them to happen to me and more often? Great questions. Eureka moments only happen when there exists self-awareness and creativity. Let me explain. Self-awareness comes in two parts. Self-awareness part one. Self-awareness is just utterly essential to improving at anything. Many know what they need to improve at, but few understand the why and the how. Elite athletes have the ability to take a step back and analyze what they're doing with each action or skill on both a technical and a mental level. For example, let's say you want to improve your serve-receive platform. You know the proper technique because your coach has harped on you 1,000 times about early arms, angling your platform to the target, and holding your finish, etc., etc. But do you have the self-awareness, the proprioception to understand where in the chain of events to complete this complicated skill you're going wrong? And ask yourself why. Developing skill in anything is a process that starts with self-awareness to allow for self-discovery. Elite athletes love competing, yes, but what separates them from the rest is that they are addicted to figuring out how their minds and bodies work and then change themselves, evolving in real time. Self-awareness part two. The key to growth comes from knowing you don't know. I remember my grandpa, who taught me basketball, would always scold me when I'd say I know after giving me a piece of advice. It was actually the very first thing I ingrained in our littlest brother, Jameson, when we taught him volleyball. Have the self-awareness to know that you, in fact, do not know everything, and always stay open to ideas. Now, I am not saying you have to listen to everything that your coach says. Quite the opposite, actually, which leads me to my next essential ingredient, creativity. My favorite part. Once I explain this to you, you're gonna wonder why this isn't common sense. Sir Ken Robinson said it better than anyone. There is this assumption with coaching and teaching that there's a formula you can follow, and if you just get that formula right, you will be great. The system itself is about conformity, compliance, and standardization. But if we know anything about people, it's that they are diverse, creative, and want fulfillment and meaning, not drudgery. So if you promote conformity, don't be surprised when that's what you get. Creativity is the essence of being a human, and I think all too often in sports, and actually life in general, cultures are created that reward conformity to the system and punish those that go outside the lines. Whether it's a matter of ego or ignorance or having a fixed mindset, both coaches and athletes need to understand this truth. Imagine the first coach that saw this. Or this. Not all problems can be solved with reps on reps on reps. And don't get me wrong, reps are your friend. But when you add a pinch of self-awareness in an environment that promotes creativity, magic starts to happen.
That's pretty good advice. Thank you, sir. Anyways, I will see you guys tonight. Sorry about my voice yet again. Nobody answered the question, I don't believe. But I'll talk to y'all later. And don't forget to constantly improve. All right. Peace, y'all.
I make your speakers bang.